This is the W03, the 2012 entry for Mercedes. One thing that's striking about this season, of course, was the regulations and the design of the nose cone. And straight away you can see the W03 really does stand out. It was also the last time that we used the 3D star on the front of the nose. But if you thought that tyres were a topic of discussion this season, then back in 2012, we were also having problems. And it was with the rear tyres that were overheating. It was actually first thought it was the exhaust gases that were blowing over the rear bodywork and causing the tyres to overheat, but it didn't turn out to be the case. But down here at the rear wing is where one of the most interesting innovations of the season came from. DRS is a drag reduction system, and when it's activated, it will reduce the amount of downforce and increase the top speed. It's great if you can do that on the rear wing, but what if you could do that on the front wing? The designers channeled the airflow from the rear wing through the chassis of the car and down to the front wing, which stalled it and created the effect known as double DRS. Now, the car didn't always perform as expected during the season, and in fact, they trialled different rear suspensions and gearboxes during the year. But one of the standout moments of the season had to be the Chinese Grand Prix. For whatever reason, the car was just dialed in, and it was in that sweet spot. Hopes were high for a 1-2 finish, but during a pit stop, there was an issue with one of Michael's rear tyres, and unfortunately he had to retire. But Nico went on to win and become the first German driver to win in a German car. But more importantly, it was the first time in 57 years that Mercedes Works team had stood on the top step of the podium. And it wasn't just a success for the Works team. It was also a success for Mercedes power. Every single one of the drivers on the podium that day was powered by Mercedes. Nico, Jensen, and somebody who would get to know very well, Lewis Hamilton. At the end of 2012, it was decided that Michael Schumacher was going to retire for the second and final time. After an incredible 7 championships, the team were honoured by giving him his final podium in Formula One at the European Grand Prix in Valencia. But the car and the chassis that I'm stood next to now is the car that Michael drove in Interlagos, Brazil, the final car that he drove in his illustrious career. Michael was pivotal in putting down the foundations for the team to build their future successes in the seasons to come, and was also an incredible mentor for the young Nico Rosberg. The team finished 5th in the championship, scoring 142 points, but it wasn't where they wanted to be. Things had to change, structurally and culturally, and with the addition of the performance group, this set in stone a different way of thinking. Next time, we're going to look at some of the big name additions to the team: Niki Lauda, Toto Wolff, and Lewis Hamilton.